We're talking about navigating new territory after awakening. And awakening affects us on every level, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And for just the sake of time, I'm making this video, I'm going to break this down into each segment. So this is going to be a 4-part series. And today we're going to kind of do a broad sweep of navigating the mental territory. So let's just start by remembering that awakening is a process. It's not an event, right? It's very rare that someone would have the initial glimpse that awareness would wake up to itself and that glimpse would become just an ongoing abidance in our true nature. It just doesn't happen very often. But there are many of us, many people on the planet that are getting glimpses, and this will keep deepening. Once that glimpse has happened, there's an opening. And so that opening will continue to widen, to become more and more expansive and to deepen on its own. So you can relax. Awareness, once it recognizes itself, you want to call it pure being or the God self, it will take care of the rest. It will happen. In fact, we don't really have any control over it. So it does help to have support and resources in the non-dual realm for those of you who are on this path of non-duality. And so I want to share today some of the territory that you can expect post-awakening in the mental realm. First of all, there's a new cognitive map of reality that comes online. What does this mean? Well, everything changes and nothing changes. And so what I'm saying is the way you perceived the world prior to your awakening was very, very different than post-awakening. Not only did who you thought you were dissolve, but the world as you once knew it completely dissolves. Your perception of reality and of the world now is going to change dramatically. No one can see this and tell that you're going through this from the outside, but you know it. Mentally, you're getting another whole picture of what's really happening in the world. And it's interesting because the world, with all of its busyness and all of its distractions, just think of technology and all the distractions from technology, keeps you from remembering who you are. And at the same time, those distractions keep us obsessed with what we're not. Think about that. You'll see this more clearly upon awakening because you're no longer so focused mentally on all the distractions, all the phenomena. Now you're aware of what's really experiencing all of that phenomena. So you're aware now, the background of awareness now has moved forward into the foreground. And now the phenomena that once captured our attention and captivated us and mesmerized us now moves into the background. And we're aware that what's ever in our field of awareness is pure consciousness. Awareness now, or consciousness, if you want to call it that now, has awakened to what it is. It's recognizing that all of this is coming from pure consciousness. And there really is no separation. Another thing that happens that can be disorienting is that even though the mental awakening has occurred, the body may still feel very separate, like it did before awakening. So this is going to take time. So what's happened is before awakening, we're over-identified. We've over-identified with the body and the thoughts, all the sensations in the body, all of the mental processing, all of the phenomena. We've over-identified with the body-mind. So post-awakening now, that begins to dissolve. It begins to unwind. The over-identification with the body-mind begins to unwind. And so, again, awareness is recognizing itself. And again, the beginning of the awakening process, this can feel very disorienting. There's a reorganization that the mind needs to go through, the body too, but we'll get into that in the segment on the physical navigating the physical territory upon awakening. The other thing that happens here is that the egoic timeline that we knew prior to awakening changes, and it continues to change to where we were living mainly in the past and the future, very rarely in the moment, in the now. Post-awakening, more and more awareness in the present will continue to take place until you get to, again, I've shared this before, but from my own experience, is the past is almost like as soon as something happens, it becomes the past. And there's not much recollection of that anymore. It's just like a dream. It's like the dream felt like it went on forever. A nighttime dream might have seemed like it took place for hours, and whatever the dream experience was, or maybe months, or even years in some dreams. But when you wake up, you realize that dream really only took place in a matter of a few minutes. This is how it feels mentally as we're waking up. The timeline begins to change, and you're very clear that time is not really real. It's something that the ego mind constructed. It keeps the ego intact. But post-awakening, that timeline that seems so solid, so much a past and a present and a future in a linear way, no longer exists. Another thing mentally is your priorities. Our priorities shift. They will shift. Some people I know, they've done a complete 180 degrees of what was important to them before their awakening, what they put so much value on and focused on just doesn't matter upon awakening. And likewise, things that didn't seem that important become very, very important. And that makes total sense, because before we had our awakening, before awareness became aware of itself, there's just so much experience of separation happening. We're just feeling so separate from everything. But once the separation dissolves, that's what non-duality is. Non-duality is, another way to say non-dual is to say total. It's totality. It's complete unity. Once that unification takes place and there's that clear awareness in the mind, then of course your priorities and what you value and where you're going to focus your time is going to change. And that is another factor of our awakening process. Where you spend your energy, how you spend your energy, and with whom you spend your energy is likely to change. It's likely to change. And again, that's because our mind is reorganizing itself to understanding that everything is pure consciousness. There's nothing separate from itself. And so that will create a deeper understanding that we're all one, and we're one with everything, not just other people, but with everything. And so our reverence for life and for every living thing is going to increase. Also, the mind, navigating this new territory post-awakening, will really see the mind for what it is. And before awakening, the mind is pretty much a negative noise machine. It's a negative noise machine. And it's being affected by the thought system, the collective consciousness, as well as the collective unconsciousness. It can get quite noisy and be very distracting and can be filled with a lot of negativity. Post-awakening, we're navigating new territory now, because now a lot of that negative chatter will begin to drop. Now, not right away, because of the conditioning, the negativity will continue for a while, but we'll see it for what it is. We don't get caught up in that negative chatter anymore. We don't hook into it. There's no biting the hook. When the fish line is sent out to you with these negative thought streams, we pass. We're not going to bite that hook. We know it's negative mind chatter. We know it's a distraction. And we know it has nothing to do with the truth of who we are. So why bother? in so doing, then there's more and more gaps of silence and stillness between those negative thoughts that are coming up. So we begin to have less thinking, or at least less negative chatter that we're focused on, and we have more silence, and that leads to more happiness and more contentment and more peace. And the thing is, the peace and the contentment and the happiness was always there, but that negative mind machine was covering it up, and covering it up quite loudly. That changes post-awakening. So you'll be navigating different territory with now greater expansions of awareness. So that opens everything up. That opens up your field of awareness. It opens up presence, your clarity of the presence that you are. Everything changes. So we navigate through the mental realm very differently in this respect. Also, what I want to touch on, and this is not an exhaustive list by any means. I'm just bringing up things that stand out for many people post-awakening. The other mental shift that takes place is the understanding of the doer, that there is no doer. It's like we can't even make ourselves wake up. We can try. I mean, we can listen to podcasts or watch videos about awakening, but that in and of itself isn't going to cause the awakening. There is something that is working on its own without any control or any interference from us, and that includes your awakening. And again, once that glimpse happens, again, understanding that awakening is a process, not an event. Once that glimpse, you have the experience of that glimpse, then the awareness that you are, the pure being that you are, will take it. It takes it and it runs with it in its own way. You don't have to worry about anything. And this is what I'm talking about with respect to doership. You're not only not making your awakening happen, you're not even making your life happen. It's happening through us. The awareness that we are, the pure being that you are, effortless being, is doing it through you. It's just using the body mind as a vehicle in which to have this experience so it can experience itself. And once awareness wakes up, it really recognizes itself in everything. And so it's all happening. And again, if I could just say one thing that might be the most helpful, it's that you can relax and let this process unfold, and just keep tuning into the resources that support the journey. Because post-awakening, one of the greatest territories that we have to navigate, we don't have to make anything happen, it is happening. But what is happening is that there's an integration process that is required. Because once the awakening happens, again, like I was mentioning, you're going to see life. Your perception of life and of the world changes so dramatically that it can be disorienting. And so we need this integration to take place. So we are clearly navigating the territory in a grounded and peaceful way, and that we know that everything that's happening is part of the journey. Just keep in mind that the world, with all of its distractions, keeps us forgetting the truth of who we are, while at the same time, all of those distractions keep us obsessed with what we are not. And so during the integration process, we need support and resources. So videos like this, a community of people that are on this path, others who have already awakened or in the midst of awakening, all of this really allows the integration to unfold in a way that can be very fulfilling and help us navigate any obstacles that seem to arise. So this is just covering part of the mental territory that needs to be navigated upon awakening. And I'll cover the other three, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual, in another video. Stay tuned. I hope this helps. Namaste.